Okay, this is the third installment where I'm going to kind of go over like remeshing, texturing, and things like that. So first off, this is the same scan I just ended the video recording of from the alignment video. So 3.5 million polygons, that is a lot for a box. We're going to do a comparison and just see how much of a loss of quality there is at various different remeshing. I call it remeshing, but it's fast mesh simplification, where you are decimating down from this amount of polygons down to whatever you set here. So first off, we're going to do a scan of this. Now what I like to do is just be organized here, so we're going to rename this as original 3.5 mil. And we're going to texture this one, just so this is done. So we'll select all the textures. We're not going to reduce glare or anything like that yet. We are just going to do the basic thing. And we're going to do a 4K texture. Actually, you know what? Let's do a 16K texture just so we have the best possible comparison between them. Okay, so here we go. This is the highest quality possible scan. You can see that we can actually read the barcodes, the text on here, even the really small text on here. And if you remember, I was standing pretty far away. It's absolutely wild. And I'm only actually doing 2 FPS, 2 frames per second of textures. So it's only every 2 seconds, or sorry, 2 pictures per second that it's doing this, taking images. So, and yeah, even this, I can read this off too. I mean, that's pretty wild. But we'll click apply. And that will be basically the best of the best quality. So we're going to duplicate this, hide that, and we will rename this to 1 mil remesh. And I'm going to come back here to tools, fast mesh simplification down to 1 million. All right, so still looks good. Still have a lot of detail there. We're going to go ahead and go here to textures, select all those textures, and do this again. Because again, we remeshed it, so it's an entirely different mesh, different UVs, different everything. So you do have to redo the texture again. Alrighty, so this is what it looks like with 1 million polygons. We'll apply that. And let's take a look and see how this compares to before. So again, you can still read this. And you can probably read this stuff here, maybe not. If I got closer with the scan, you could read this, but yeah, up to 512 megabytes. Yep, that is very small lettering though. Still, truly remarkable considering how far away I was. Yeah, multi-core is designed to, etc., etc. Yeah, pretty sweet. Let's see how low we can take this. So let's go duplicate. And we will call this. Now normally what you do is you'd slowly step down the remesh. So I'm going to see what happens if I go straight from 1 million down to just 5,000. Again, I'm doing this because this is just a simple box. There's really not that much data that needs to be there. So let's try this. Fast mesh simplification. And let's try a simple 5,000. The worst case scenario. Okay, so here we are with just 5,000 polygons, next to nothing. And let's see what it looks like if we put a texture on here. So let's duplicate that, and here we go. Alrighty, and this is what 5,000 polygons looks like. Still looks pretty darn good. But let's see what happens if we jump down from the million down to, say, 500,000. Let's do a step down. So let's duplicate this one. We'll save that for later. And let's do this. Go to tools. We'll change this down to, we'll do a step down from there to 500,000. Okay. And then 100,000. And then 50,000. And then 10,000. And then 5,000. Let's see if that looks any different at all. It's actually looking the same. Well, there is a bit of difference. So this is the original. We'll do a before and after so you can actually see what this all looks like here. Let's change the color to be the same. So let's go with that blue and that blue, just so they're exactly the same. We're not seeing any difference at all. Oh yeah. So there's definitely more, it's better data to go down from in steps, which is what I was told. But regardless, it still looks great. But yeah, so there's that. And yeah, so let's do a comparison between these. So what you can do is, there's actually a screenshotting tool in here, so we can do Control-Shift-S, and let's call this, I'll just save this to the desktop. We'll call this Artec tutorial. Call this Chromebook. So we'll just call this 1. 2, 3, and let's go check that out. Okay, so this is the 1, 2, and 3. 1, so this is the full mesh, the 3.5 million, 1 million, 5,000. Virtually no difference in texture at all. Obviously the mesh is going to get a lot worse at 5,000, but still very usable. The 5,000 is something more for what you'd see in like a video game and stuff, and obviously at that point you would be just drawing the box yourself as just a basic bounding box and then applying the texture with that very, very easily. But this is a great way to get textures from meshes too that you can use for games and whatnot. But yeah, pretty sweet. So hopefully that kind of explains the Artec Leo process, going from one scan, then coming back and be like, okay, I want to do the whole thing and align it. So you go back, opening up the same project, and then just moving the object around and scanning it a couple more times from different angles, getting the bottom, the top, the sides, different angles, of course. But yeah, it's pretty sweet. Textures are great. I'm not even scanning at the highest quality. It can go up to, I think, like 15 frames per second of textures and then 60 frames a second for scan data. These were taken with 40 frames per second scan data, no HD frames. This is just the lowest possible quality for the Artec Leo. Pretty wild. Yeah, and then only 2 FPS for the textures. So yeah, very good stuff. The Leo's definitely very fun to use, very easy to use. It's not a headache at all. I have, in like the month I've been using it, I've done well over 150 scans. I have only lost tracking, I think, 8 or 9 times, and like 2 or 3 of those are because I wasn't paying attention and I went off from the object, so it was just trying to scan open space. So obviously it's going to lose tracking, but now the Artec Leo has been fantastic. So yeah, thank you again to Kevin from Laser Design, who's been my kind of Artec related rep. I don't know if he actually works directly with Artec. I think he's just like a reseller, a company that does this type of stuff. He's a salesman for Artec, I think. But yeah, Kevin, you're awesome. You've been a great help. I'm still learning, still asking questions here and there, but yeah, once the summer rolls around, I'm going to be doing a lot more scanning. It's still, pretty cold here. I'm in the Midwest. Artec has had no problems working out in like 10 to 12 degrees Fahrenheit, stuff like that. That's the coldest I've been out scanning stuff. It's been no problem. Obviously, if you scan snow, it's going to come back as if you're scanning glass, because it's like it's just because the way snow is. So